Good evening, everyone. It is August 3rd, 2023. Now, sorry about yesterday's video not having any audio. All I wanted to show you guys was this high time frame outlook, and I'd been mentioning that 4600 to 4665, somewhere up here, I was looking for the quarterly high, and overall, what I was looking for this month was to trade something like in this kind of box, something like this. Now, perhaps due to the whole credit downgrade thing or whatever with America and this or that, we're selling off a bit more aggressively, but I'm not really paying too much attention to that. For now, we're holding this trend line. For now, I think this does get salvaged somewhere around this kind of 44.65-ish zone, somewhere in this kind of balance area. I think that's where we do end up finding a bid. That's all I was sort of talking about in yesterday's video. Now, what else I'd been discussing was that I wanted to see, were we going to just find the bid here and re-enter this prior balance, or were we going to start making our way down into this old balance here that I was showing on the higher time frame? So what ended up happening was we ended up selling down to 45.10s. That was an intraday level of mine. And that was pretty much where we held today. We broke the lows slightly. We had some trouble closing the gap, but once we did, we were able to break out in the afternoon, getting into sort of the main resistance from yesterday, get into this zone here, kind of 36s. And that's where I was offered, and I took profit at yesterday's low. So I was able to get a short going. Now, we did have Apple and Amazon earnings. They moved around the market a little bit after hours, but nothing too crazy. Overall, a pretty muted response given that the last time we had a big earnings like Nvidia is when we gapped up some crazy huge amount. I don't even remember where it was. I think it was somewhere back here. It might have been this over here, this massive gap. So that was the last time we had any of that. Nasdaq, nothing too dissimilar. We once again stayed bid at this kind of 342 to 331 area. That being, I think that's the Q. Let me just look it up. Oh no, that's the 95% yearly value area high at 342. So we stayed bid off of there during the overnight, and then we were unable to breach that low all day long. We came up and we held this balance zone here. We held it during that ER event, and then we held it during the RTH there, right at 522s, right at my level. I think we came and tickled it to the tick, I believe. Four ticks above, so pretty much spot on. Now, for tomorrow, I will not be trading this just because I had quite a healthy week, and we have NFP coming out pre-market. That may shake up the market, but overall, I want to say is we just spent, and let's go back to the big chart for a second here on the S&Ps. We just spent weeks here, right? Pretty much what would that be? From July 18th to August 2nd, pretty much, about 2 weeks, balancing up above here after this huge rally. And I find it hard to believe we're just going to sell, whatever that is, from about 60 down to 10. A 50-point sell-off. I find that hard to believe. So in my opinion, what I'll be looking for tomorrow is I think we'll come down to about, I don't know, the gap closes at 44.75. Maybe we come down to 75 and fill that gap, and then I think you're going to end up with a bid somewhere to about 45.20 or something like that. So again, I think you find a bid somewhere in this gap. You reclaim this kind of 85-ish number, and then it's a move upwards to something like that 45.15-ish kind of area. On the Nasdaq, not too dissimilar. I think you close the gap down at 279s, maybe even come down into the hundreds area, and then it's another bid sort of scenario. So overall, not leaning excessively bearish or bullish. I had mentioned in yesterday's video, and unfortunately it didn't get recorded, of course, in the voice, that I wasn't looking for a huge session today. Oftentimes, after a liquidation day like we had yesterday, you'll end up with this kind of choppy rotational session. For the most part, that's what we had, especially on the ES. We made an overnight low. We got some nice moves during the overnight. This thing collapsed hard during the overnight, made a low, we moved down below the overnight low by what, 4 or 5 handles, and then it was back up to our main area of support from yesterday. That kind of 36, that old weekly low at 36 half. That's where the 4 p.m. close was. All that sort of stuff. We got back up to that 36 to 45 area where we turned around, sold down to yesterday's low. So nothing, no incredible moves. For tomorrow, I would wait to be aggressively bid until the afternoon. I think the morning will be a sell-off, which would be customary, and then Friday in the afternoon, tomorrow afternoon, we find the bid and it's a ramp job, perhaps to testing the other side of the balance, to test this kind of 60-ish area as resistance, 53 to 65, call it. So that's what I'll be looking for. I think we get into kind of this, what would the bottom of this trend line be? 61s. I think we get into testing somewhere around that 60 to 65 area. See if we can enter that gap above 70s, the RTH gap from 70 to 91. In my opinion, I think we reject it and we come back below. So that's all I'm looking for. Have a great night. Trade safe. I may be up for the open. I don't know.